Tell us when we're live. We're live, okay. Let's go ahead and call our meeting to order, and we'll begin with the pledge and the invocation. Oh, we're supposed to do the calendar hearing first. I'm sorry. I should look at the agenda before I say anything.
All right.
So let's do the calendar hearing first then.
Right. Here we go. So for the school calendar for school year 25 to 26. Go to the next page, please. Thank you. This is for a public hearing. County boards are mandated to hold at least 2 public hearings to allow all interested parties to discuss the school calendar with the option of adding additional hearings if needed. Public notices for these hearings must be published in a Class 2 legal advertisement, requiring publications once a week for 2 consecutive weeks in qualified local newspaper, as specified in West Virginia Code 5932. Notices may be combined in one advertisement, with the first notice appearing at least 10 days before the initial hearing to give attendees sufficient planning time. For Pendleton County, the public hearing dates are January 7th and January 21st, while the advertisement dates were December 12th and 19th. Hearings must include a quorum of board members, is to be scheduled for a reasonable duration, and should be scheduled between 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. Grand County already held its first hearing on December 10th, and they plan to have another one mid-January. There we go. Legislative requirements. The instructional term must consist of at least 180 separate instructional days, or an equivalent amount of instructional time achieved by extending daily instruction minutes. The instructional day requirements are 315 minutes for grades K through 5, 330 minutes for grades 6 through 8, and 345 minutes for grades 9 through 12. The employment term for staff must be no fewer than 200 days, with any extension of the instructional term requiring a proportional increase of the employment term. County boards are required to implement policies for inclement weather and emergencies to ensure students receive 180 days of instruction. The policies may include extending daily instruction minutes beyond the state minimum or adding entire instructional days to make up for the lost time. For definitions, we have instructional days. They are part of the 180-day school term and consist of time allocated for teaching and mastering standards. This excludes lunch, recess, homeroom, class changes, breaks, and other non-instructional activities. For non-instructional days, there are 20 compensated days included in the school calendar when students are not present. These days may include holidays, election days, and outside school environmental days, during which school personnel may not be required to report to work. Abbreviations and definitions. For non-instructional days, we have curriculum development with the abbreviation of CD. These days are designed for planning and development curriculum, training for curricula implementation, and strategies effective delivery to students. Additionally, we have preparation, which is for opening and closing schools. These days are provided for 2 days, one at the beginning of the school year and one at the end of the school year, to prepare to open and to close schools. Continuing, we have professional learning days for PL. These are designed for educators and may include full or half days if 30 minutes have been added to the instructional day at all pragmatic levels. These days held without students present are exclusively for students level activities aimed at improving instruction. They are determined by the county board, cannot be canceled or rescheduled to make up for lost instructional days, and are considered instructional time rather than part of the 20 non-taught compensated days. Continuing with non-instructional days, we have teacher-pupil parent conference with TP. These days are allocated for meetings with parents and students to discuss academic progress. This is counted as part of the 20 non-taught compensated days. We also have professional meetings for PM. These days are meetings related to student achievement, continuing education, or skill development, outside school environment, paid days, that are also in the 20 non-taught compensated days, which may be used to ensure 180 instructional days are completed. We have primary or general election. It's a single non-taught compensated day per year, held in May for primary elections or November for general elections. We also have holiday H, 7 non-taught compensated days throughout the year when employees do not report to work. For an employment term, under West Virginia Code 18545, each county board must ensure a minimum employment term of 200 days for full-time employees, excluding weekends, with a maximum span of 48 weeks. The employment term includes 180 instructional days for students and 20 non-instructional days, which are allocated as follows: 2 preparation days, 7 legal holidays, 1 election, 6 outside school environmental days, and we also have other non-instructional days, such as curriculum development, teacher-pupil parent conference, and other professional meetings. Oh, there we go. According to West Virginia Code 185A5, the school calendar must allocate a 2-hour block of time for faculty senate meetings on a day scheduled for the opening of school before the instructional term begins, and on a day scheduled for the closing of school before the employment term ends. Additionally, faculty senate meetings must be held in October, December, February, and April for a total of 6 2-hour meetings annually. These meetings can occur during late arrivals, early dismissals, or as not part of non-instructional day. The time used for faculty senate meetings on non-instructional days is considered part of the purpose of the scheduled day. For faculty senate meetings, faculty senates may schedule meetings during instructional days if sufficient equivalent instructional time has been allocated by all schools in the district. They may also hold unlimited meetings during non-instructional days to plan strategies to improve instruction and conduct other business. Additionally, faculty senates can choose to meet during an instructional day outside of student instructional time and take compensatory time off of the designated non-instructional day, provided that the meeting occurs before the scheduled day in the school calendar. If a non-instructional day is scheduled for a faculty senate meeting and it's canceled due to inclement weather, the county board may, but is not required to reschedule it. Instructional term, under West Virginia Code 18545, each county board must provide, not just schedule, at least 180 separate instructional days or the equivalent within the employment term. An instructional day is defined as one used for instructional or co-curricular activities that complement academic curricula aligned with West Virginia standards and meet the minimum instructional time required. For preschool, it's 1,500 minutes per week or 48,000 minutes per year following West Virginia Board Policy 2525. Kindergarten through 5th is 315 minutes per day, 6 through 8, 330 minutes per day, 9 through 12, 345 minutes per day. Instruction must align with state adopted standards and include co-curricular activities closely related to academic programs. Under West Virginia Code 545, if a county board cannot meet the requirement of 180 instructional days or equivalent with its current school calendar, it must use available non-instructional days or out-of-school calendar days to make up. County boards may schedule more than 180 instructional days but must extend the employment term by the same number of days as the 200-day minimum employment term that includes 20 non-instructional days. The employment term may also be extended for additional professional developmental days. To fund the extended employment term, a county board can include an excessive levy if needed. For equivalent time, under West Virginia Code 18545, all county boards must add minutes to the minimum instructional day to offset early dismissals, late arrivals, and faculty senate meetings. Schools that add 1 to 29 minutes to the instructional day may use the extra time for these purposes while ensuring that over the instructional term, students receive the equivalent of 180 full instructional days. County boards may add at least 30 minutes to the instructional day for all schools in the district to ensure students receive the equivalent of 180 instructional days. This additional time allows the board to allocate up to 5 days for professional learning when students are not present, use up to 5 days to compensate for instructional days lost to inclement weather or emergencies, and utilize the remaining time for late arrivals, early dismissals, faculty senates, or school assemblies. County board is opting to add the additional 30 minutes or more to the minimum instructional day. The instructional days will follow. So for K through 5, it will now be 345 minutes. 6 through 8 would be 360 minutes, and 9 through 12 will be 375 minutes. West Virginia Board of Education Policy 3234 allows county boards to use non-traditional instructional days when traditional in-school instruction is not feasible due to emergencies or other reasons. These days enable districts to provide instruction outside of the school facility. County boards can use up to 5 non-traditional instructional days per year, but must have an approved application on file with West Virginia Department of Education. county boards of education may utilize up to 2 options below or elect to utilize both options. Our options are adding 30 minutes to the minimum instructional day, submitting an approved plan to utilize non-traditional instructional days, or both adding 30 minutes and submitting an approved plan. For adding 30 minutes to the minimum instructional day, we have the following benefits. We have time to accommodate late arrivals, early dismissals, and faculty senate meetings. We have the flexibility to avoid rescheduling or adding instructional days up to 5 days lost due to closures, inclement weathers, or other emergencies. We have time to schedule up to 5 professional learning days for educators within the instructional term in place of student instructional days, and the remaining time can be used for co-curricular activities. For the option of submitting an approved plan to utilize non-traditional instructional days, we have instructional time up for 5 days when the traditional method of instructions are not feasible, or to provide instruction in a non-traditional manner for other reasons. Combining the addition of 30 minutes for the instructional day with an approved plan, we have up to 5 days for inclement weather emergencies, up to 5 days of equivalent or professional learning, up to 5 days for non-traditional instruction, and the remaining time can be used for late arrivals, early dismissals, faculty senate meetings during the instructional time, and co-curricular activities. So selecting both options will provide the county the flexibility of having 15 days and only 15 days when school utilizes the equivalent time, and a non-traditional instructional day plan on file with West Virginia Board of Education. The employment term are 20 non-instructional days, and it's compromised as follows. We have 7 legal holidays, an election day, 6 out-of-school environment days. We have other non-instructional days such as curriculum development, 2 preparation days, professional learning days, and teacher-pupil parent conferences. The submission requirements, the calendar is due May 2nd, 2025. For graduation, all high school seniors must attend a minimum of 175 instructional days. County boards may not hold graduation ceremonies and release students earlier than 5 instructional days prior to the end of the regular school term. And for public hearing dates, at least 2 public notices with legal advertisement forms. The board present may limit comments up to 3 minutes. For the calendar survey, a calendar survey will be sent out in the middle of February, and all call will go out to all students and employees during the evening, and a link will be posted to the school's social media platforms. Here are 7 legal holidays. We have Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, Memorial Day, and West Virginia Day. Good Friday will be falling on April 3rd, 2026, and Easter is going to fall on April 5th, 2026. With an early-ish spring or Easter, we're going to have spring break scheduled towards the end of March and into the beginning of April. Good Friday and the Monday following Easter will be scheduled as an out-of-calendar day. Calendar voting days will be for 3 consecutive days. These are anticipated to be held in the middle of March. That is it. Any questions?
I'm assuming you've added the 30 minutes and that other stuff into your schedule, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a few drafts that have that implemented.
Is the summer saver days that y'all talk about part of that plan?
Yes, that's our non-traditional instructional days, is our summer saver days.
So how many of those do y'all have?
You have a maximum of 5.
5?
Should you relay the information that Hardy County's not participating in the calendar?
Yes, Hardy County, we've had a tri-county calendar now for approximately 16 years, and Hardy County has decided to step out of that, and the tri-county calendar keeps us all in the same place at the South Branch Vocational Career and Technical Center. And at this point, I don't believe Hardy County is going to participate, so it'll just be us and Grant. We are still trying to keep the same calendar. The South Branch Career and Technical Center does operate off the Grant County calendar, so it helps us to not miss any more days with South Branch than we have to, which we want to keep our career and technical students to get as many days possible.
What was Hardy's reasoning for that? Because they don't want to participate.
Well, they wanted to start their LSICs came to them and requested a later start in the school year than what we typically have been doing. And the board approved that.
So call Travis real quick.
Okay.
How's that gonna affect them then with VOTEC? You know, their kids that come up to VOTEC, you know.
They will have to try to work some things out, but it will impact them probably in a negative way would be my
Yeah.
thoughts.
I think they're gonna run a bus that starts before their school season starts.
Huh?
They're gonna run a bus
Huh.
to try to get the kids there, if the kids wanna go.
Yeah.
They should-
Oh, even,
They haul kids over to rehab, or the Woodrow Wilson from up in Highland. We have one student going this year. I don't know how many have signed up to go next year. So,
Okay. Any questions? Then let's go ahead and now we'll call the meeting to order and begin with the pledge and invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Almighty God, as we gather, we thank you for all those that are out treating the roads and working on preparing them. And we ask that you would bless all of the students and staff members of the county and keep them safe as we have the snow and the challenges that are there. And when we start school again, keep everybody safe then. We ask you to bless our meeting tonight, that you would give us discretion and wisdom. Amen.
yeah.
We don't have any public, so no public comments. Student and staff recognition.
Okay, the December James Huffman Responsible Student of the Month is at Pelton County Middle High School, Brody Weimer of Franklin. He is son of Michael and Joy Bennett. The late Spud Weimer enjoys hunting and fishing. Brody plans to attend South Branch Career and Technical Center to study welding. His goal is to get a job at James Madison University in welding. And our December Academic Student of the Month is Isla Jones of Franklin. She is the daughter of Leila and Chris Jones. She is a member of the Pelton County High School track team and is in the National Honor Society. She plans to attend college and major in a medical field.
Thank you. Our next item would be the minutes of the December 17th board meeting. We've all received those minutes. Are there any corrections or objections to them as we've received them, or do we have a motion to approve?
so moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Then all in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please signify by saying aye. And opposed, no. Lisa, do you need any help figuring out who made the motion and who seconded? It was Sunny and Katie, thank you. That brings us down to personnel.
Alright, resignations and retirements. We have Taylor Besajic resigning for English Language Arts teacher and yearbook advisor at Pendleton County Middle High School. And we have Charles Hedrick, retirement superintendent.
And my recommendation to accept the resignations and retirements as presented.
You want to ask that question?
Let's take them one by one.
Roll call vote.
Who's making that motion? I'm not.
So we have a recommendation. I'm not sure that we should accept the recommendation from the person who's retiring, but guess we will anyway. We have a recommendation though. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second with much regret.
Much regret. Yep.
Very much.
Any discussion or any questions?
You can always back out.
Before you hire somebody else.
I voted to rescind the retirement one other time. I was at that vocational school, and I was the only one that voted for it. But they got their fingers smacked for not accepting it. So, anyway, in this case, we have a motion, a second, to accept the resignation and to accept the retirement with much regret. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Uh-huh.
And opposed, no. Motion passes with much regret and much thanks also.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that all?
That is all for this one.
Okay. So that finishes us up then under personnel, and we move down to finance.
Okay, under finance, under 6A, we will start with the December treasurer's report under 6A, and this is one of those first months when it becomes more apparent that our cash flow starts to decline here as, again, as taxes and grant reimbursements taper off. Traditionally, February or so is about our lowest cash position. I remember times when it was a couple $100,000. We were worried if we'd have enough to meet payroll and all that. So while it's not the 3 to 4 million, 3 million that it was a couple months ago, it is still a healthy 2.7 million. So we started the month of December 1st, 3.379 million. Receipts just over 700,000, which was mainly just state aid in the month of December. Disbursements, 1,337,839.06. Right below that in B and C, it shows how much was accounts payable, how much was payroll. Fiscal year to date, just over 6 million. So it leaves a current month ending fund balance. We decreased about 600,000 to 2,747,609.99. 2,747,609.99. Going down the page just a bit, we were still earning 4.55% interest. I think that did decrease effective January 1 to about the 4.2% range. We still earn, because of a large balance beginning of the month, over $13,000 interest for the month of December. Year to date from July, 54,473. We still may hit the 100,000 threshold, remains to be seen for the year. Depends on rates and balances. So again, 13,418.16. For December, the second page just shows the breakdown, the bills that are coming up to be approved with the bills and electronic payments, the 740,000 total bills, the gross payroll, and then the net withholdings that come out to reconcile everything for the treasurer's report. But summarizing back, a current month ending fund balance for December 31, 2,747,609.99.
Yeah, my recommendation to approve the treasurer's report for December 31st, 2024.
Our superintendent's recommended approving the treasurer's report. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Katie, and you second, Wilma?
Wilma.
Wilma second, Katie made the motion.
Can I just say how impressed I am with our interest that you're getting?
Yeah, it's excellent.
It really is
It's
excellent.
Yes.
Anything else? Then all in favor of approving the treasurer's report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes.
The next item, 6B, December bills for the month just freshly ended. So I'm going to start off with a couple of comments for December bills. Travis is on the phone. We bought some special tables. Miss White Cotton came in several months ago and said we really need tables at the middle high school. And between their allocation account and our account, they did purchase some. Travis, can you remember what was special about those tables out there at the high school?
There's something called vertical learning, and basically the kids would be assigned in small groups and given sort of a problem that they would have to work out, and they would work in small groups to try to solve the problem, and then whenever they have a solution, these tables here will actually allow them to write on them with dry erase markers, and then the top of them will actually flip up to where you're able to actually show it to the class or show it to the teacher. Instead of looking down on it, it'll flip up and you're looking at it like a whiteboard in front of the classroom.
Okay, that's good. I knew there was something distinctive, and I knew that there was a push for them, but I couldn't have explained it, so that's what that is. The second item, Board of Risk quarterly, towards the bottom first, and again, we've talked about the increase in the, mainly the liability. The property increased some, so we're still partway through the year paying for that. We will see what FY26 has to offer. We don't know yet, but we pay property and liability at the same time. So the month end, 740, 328.51 at the bottom. A couple more highlights from the next page. I know Katie sent me an email asking for a few more details on this one, so I sent you a reply, Katie.
I got it.
So yeah,
Thank
so the
you.
hamburger delivery, I think we got half beginning of the year and half here in middle of the year. It was bid out at Lost River Meat Company over at Lost River for the hamburger. And I don't remember, how much did it say per pound for the hamburger, did it say, Katie? It was like $4.50?
$4.65.
$4.65,
Yeah.
okay, for that. So that's, and a couple of the other companies did bid on it, even up in Burlington, the company up there, but it was over $5 a pound. So that can change year to year, and obviously, there's a cost to having local and fresh, but it is good to have that. So that's what we
Yeah.
have there, it's the second payment for that one. Next item, North Fork Elementary freezer repairs. We did have that go down and kind of went down on a weekend and kind of got it back up and going. So it wasn't perfect timing, but we lost some food over there, but that's been submitted to a board of risk claim and we had to get some repairs done. So that appears to be back up and going now correctly. And we do have an alert system that alerts us for those when they go down below a certain temperature, but it kind of sent an alert out, but it didn't necessarily follow up. And anyway, we're trying to get a new alert system as well as a result of this updated alert system when temperature and freezers, refrigerators go below a certain limit on that. The next item, we did lease purchase 2 buses a year ago. Nice thing about the lease purchase, we'll see under finance update a little bit how much these buses helped us increase bus replacement money. We bought these last year and just now making the first payment for them. 2 buses in FY24, $61,973.95. There's principal and interest, but yes, we will see how that increase in our bus replacement money, along with 2 other buses, did more than offset the interest payment on that. The next item for notation, I think, is page 4 of the PDF. I think it's been put into use the last day or two. We did purchase a snowplow for the ton flatbed maintenance truck that we have, and that was a good one to be equipped and make sure that it fit exactly what we needed for that. So we still are contracting out. We have a new contract this year with Potomac Hardware and those folks down the street to plow our schools, so that's new for us. We also have the snow plow, again, for the maintenance truck. Hopefully that'll last us for many, many years and we can continue to get good use out of that. I don't have any other items for notation, but the current month totaled $740,328.51.
You have my recommendation for approval of the December 2024 bills for payment.
Our superintendent's recommending that we pay the December bills. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Sonny made the motion. And a
Second.
And Katie seconded. Any discussion or any questions?
JP, on page 3, the Dollywood Foundation, I thought am I mistaken, one time, I thought that was something we got free or something.
Well, there was, and Travis may remember more details, we did get some grants. I mean, this is paid through a grant, and we got some free through Dollywood, but there has been a charge for some of those books paid with a state literacy grant that we do pay for. So that does come out of what's called an early literacy state grant. The state sometimes has money set aside, and they will pay for up to a certain portion of that. But there has been a charge. It hasn't really come out of any county money in recent years, but it does come out of a state grant that we get we get about $10,000 early literacy grant, and that's where that comes out of. But there is an invoice that we pay out of that grant for that, for those books. Yeah.
Okay, anything else? I got distracted here. We did do the, no, you did the recommendation.
Right. And then he had a question.
And he had a question. I haven't asked for the motion yet. So, do we have a motion to make the,
Yeah, we did
December
that.
bills? We did that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry. Retirement's affected my brain already. Then all those in favor of approving the bill, paying the bills, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. Budget revisions.
All right, so budget revisions, I think there are actually two handouts, called 1-7-25 and 1-725-1. They're all budget supplements, so I'll just kind of go over them together. The first grouping has an account code that we received. Dolly Rexroad does work for us through a particular grant, works with students working in jobs and careers, has done an excellent job. The state gave us an incorrect grant code, so we're putting the correct grant code in for $33,278, revenue and expense, removing the incorrect code with a reduction of revenue, reduction of expense. So while the computer totals both of those up, it's really a net of 0, replacing one for the other, supplementing one, negative supplement for the other. So that's a total of 0 for the first one, number 122. Number 123 is a universal pre-K grant through special education that Carrie oversees. That's for $1,000. So those two together, 122 and 123, will increase the budget by 1,000. Now I'm going to move on to 17-25-1. That continues those first two, and we have three more. 124, number 124 has 3 local projects in it. The Grand Families program that Helen Turner in speech still oversees, along with Diana Smith, still does a little bit of the Grand Family. Grandparents that are raising children, have guardianship or helping out with them, there's some supplies and money that can be sent to them. They work with the program. West Virginia State University has a program that gives us money several times a year. Sometimes there's donations for that. So that's 7,500 Grand Families program. A couple donations to the CIS program, Communities and Schools, $500 donation from Jostens, and $1,000 from High Rock. I think a few folks here may be pretty close to High Rock. So High Rock gave $1,000, which was appreciated. So we have the aforementioned grants. We have these 3 local grants for $9,000 of number 124. So we have those 2 particular items, $9,000 for that, and then we have $1,000 for the first 2 grants for supplements.
You have my recommendation to approve the budget revisions as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending that we approve the budget revisions as recommended. Do we have a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
Wilma and Betty.
Betty.
Have the motion and the second. Any discussion or any questions? And all in favor of approving supplements 122, 123, and 124 for $1,000 and $9,000, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes.
Yep, and that was 10,000 total. That was correct. So that's the budget revisions. The next item, financial update. I'll try not to get too far into the weeds on those. A couple items. I want to start off with W-2s. 6D called W-2 reconciliation. So with us having a January 5th and 20th pay dates, we try to get W-2s done. It's a busy time at calendar year end, getting the old calendar year closed out, the new calendar year started. W-2s were processed. Reminds me, I think I have the board members stuck in my drawer there, so before I get away tonight, before you get away, if you remind me, I'll give you your W-2s. They're in my drawer now, just happened to think of that. So, W-2s 2024. Gross payroll, this is calendar year, just over $9.4 million. There were 308 W-2s. That includes full-time employees, many substitutes, part-time persons, and items like that. It's usually around 186 full-time persons, so the rest are part-time substitutes in various categories, professional and service. Section 125 are pre-tax deductions like health insurance, some other qualifying, $497,849. That gives the Social Security wages. So people sometimes ask, what's my gross for this, what's my gross for that? We try to explain to employees how that works. Then our retirement system comes out pre-tax. It's not tax exempt like Social Security, but it's pre-tax. So retirement and annuities, those come out just over $500,000 total. So then we get W-2 wages of $8,388,864.17. So sometimes persons get their W-2s, they're like, well, I thought I made more than that. It's like, well, your gross is this. We factor these things out, and this is what you report for W-2 wages. Federal tax withholding interestingly enough, is 672, 370, 375. It only comes out to like 8.02% of that above figure, which seems low, but if you factor in all the persons that get a substitute gets paid a day here or a day there or a couple of days, the system is set up to look at that as if you're getting paid over the whole year for that, so it doesn't withhold a whole lot on some of those part-time persons and substitutes. So withholds correctly for all employees, but it is sometimes a little bit low for some of the part-time persons, and so it's not extraordinary large amount of money based on that. FICA withholding, 7.65%. We go through those calculations for the FICA percentage of the FICA taxes. And then section 1 is an example. So tax exempt, what is tax exempt? Dental and vision about $48,000, optional life about $5,000, health insurance $380, and then American Fidelity, which has medical reimbursement, other insurances through American Fidelity, $63,000. That's the $497, $849.66. So the bottom right corner shows an example of an employee with a gross pay of $50,000. If they had $3,600 health insurance they were paying for, life insurance and dental and vision, maybe medical reimbursement, that would be Social Security wages of $43,700. If retirement coming out at about 6%, $3,000 would come out there. If they had an annuity, not many of our persons have annuities these days, but if they did, you'd get down W-2 wages of $40,200, even though your gross pay was $50,000. That's just an example of how that would work for an employee. So again, 9.4 million gross payroll, W-2 wages 8.388, and 308 W-2s. That is just for information. I'm going to skip 941 reconciliation. That's just our 4 quarterly 941s, how they sync back to the W-2s. It does show they all reconcile. That's just information. You can look at it when we discuss it tonight. 6D preliminary computation. So a brief look, may not seem super brief to you, but a brief look of the 26 budget from the state. Now, legislature hasn't met yet. Something could change, but step 8, the first page of the handout, shows what we would get. And if you want to see in more detail how it's calculated based upon our 1,400 enrollment, we can. Bottom line is we're projected 11.6 million right now. We're projected that, and this is total state allowance, local share, local taxes at 85% is projected to be 3.2 million. A net state aid on the right-hand column is just over 8.3 money from the state. That's the projection for FY26 as it stands now. No pay raise is assumed or anything like that. How does that compare to a year ago? Scrolling down to the second page, it's an increase of about 150, 160,000 from a year ago, which is pretty much on target. You have people with more experience. You have to look at your expenditures, and they bounce around. Reimbursement for transportation and maintenance. So that's pretty much on target, increase of about 160,000. Not a huge increase, obviously, but not a decrease. Local share last year was a little bit less, 3.1. That was 8.29 state money. So between what we're allowed to have, how much we generate locally, the state aid can jump around a little bit. So step 8 is what the formula says we should get, whatever local taxes equates to, then the state subtracts out 85%, gives us the difference. And that 3 million something is 85% of the local tax collection for the school boards. So the third page simply shows a couple items I want to highlight. Step 4. So Pendleton has 173,000 in that column under bus replacement. A year ago, I'm going to scroll to the next page, it was 122,000 for bus replacement. So all over a $50,000 increase on bus replacement money that we are receiving. Now the newer, the more modern our fleet is, the more money you get. Of course, you have to find a way to spend that money. Every bus now costs over $120,000, $140,000, so you have to figure out a way, how many can you afford? But when your bus fleet is newer, it does equate to more bus replacement money. Now the column in the middle is reimbursement of transportation expenses, 95%. That actually went down about 150 or 160, but the main reason is we purchased two-way radios, purchased two-way radios for 160,000 in 23 year and didn't have those in 24. So Basically, transportation reimbursement is the same in step 4, but it shows up as less because we had two-way radios in the prior year. So that's all explainable, that's okay. But the bigger item there is that bus replacement did increase over $50,000 for the upcoming year. I'm going to skip down a couple pages. I'm going to go to page 7. Page 7 is enrollment. So Kanawha County continues to be the county with the most enrollment, though Berkeley gains every year. Eventually Berkeley may overtake Kanawha, 23 to 19.9. So they're gaining. We are again, Pendleton County, we used to be second from last. Calhoun fell below us several years ago, so we are 851 head count. Pocahontas used to be about 100 ahead of us. They're down to 893. Calhoun 789, Gilmer at 720. Of course, we get funded at the 1400 level, as do, and other counties get adjustments based upon their sparsity if they're below. You see some of the prep schools that are in there too, some of the virtual schools, and they're counting them now as individual districts, those virtual charter schools, or if it's a brick and mortar charter school as well. So that shows that information to us. How does it break down between the grade levels? Just very briefly, we average around 60 students per grade level, give or take a few. So grades 6 through 12 in this chart here, we go 61 and then up to 65 in grade 12. So very much in the 60 range is pretty remarkably consistent. Even though we've declined for many years, we've kind of leveled off the last couple years. In grade pre-K through 5, a little lower, especially in 4 and 5 in the 40s and 50s. A couple outliers, but still in the 60 range or close to it. So a couple smaller classes might lead to a little less down the road, but still in the 60 range, and a 66 in there. So similar, may drop a little bit over time, depending on people moving in and out as well. So believe it or not, we went from 846 to 851 head count, so we gained 5 students, which has only happened a handful of times in the last 30 years. Gained 5 students, and so we were one of maybe four districts that actually gained students, increased enrollment. Jefferson, Berkeley, I guess 5 students. Jefferson, Berkeley, 5 counties. Doddridge, Hardy, and Pendleton. And everybody else declined, which is pretty much the state of rural America, Appalachia, West Virginia, declining enrollment in those counties or virtual academies. Some of those virtual academies, 1 and 2, they've taken off in the past year or so. So they're the leaders in terms of percentage gained based on that. So we were one of 5 counties with actual increase in enrollment. That next page shows the same thing by percentage, just basically shows the same information. No need to dwell on that. We were, again, one of 5 counties increasing in enrollment. If we look at kindergarten, page 12 here, kindergarten, we actually, and sometimes it's in a not, last year only had 50 kindergartners, which was low. This year, 65. Increase of 15 or 30% in kindergarten, which is good. That 30% percentage increase, if we look at it by percentage, is the largest in the state. Now, we're a small county, we can go back and forth and up and down, but after the charter schools, the kindergarten increase, percentage-wise, is the largest in the state at 30% from 50 to 65. We saw pre-K is about 58, so that may come down next year, but for this year, largest increase in the state at 30% for kindergarten. Then we look at square miles and density, which gets us into our 1400 calculation very briefly. Pendleton's still the 5th largest county, obviously. Randolph, Greenbrier, Pocahontas, Kanawha, and then Pendleton. If we go to the next page beyond that, we are still 2nd in sparsity behind Pocahontas. They're less than 1 student per square mile, 0.96. We are at 1.22. That kind of separates us out. Even Webster at number 3 is at 1.9 percentage-wise, a fair drop-off there between students per square mile. So we're still number 2, still getting the 1400 floor. But as mentioned earlier, we still have to pay attention to how Pocahontas does and how we do, 'cause we're still tied to them to a certain extent in the calculation, but that's still good for now. So getting near the end of tonight's information, there is an allowance for charter schools. So that 8 million discussed in the beginning, the step 8 minus the local share, the net state aid, we take all that, and then the state does it, because charter school students count in your enrollment. You know, they do count, but then money gets subtracted out to send to the charter school enrollment to go to them. So money subtracted out. So if we have our 8.3 million for Pendleton County, 8.3 million, it's projected to subtract 32,000. That's the amount of state aid per student. That's the amount of state aid per student. So we were going to send, we're going to do a transfer, and then the State Department sends it to the charter schools. We would send 32,852. That's going to reduce our state aid by 32,852 based upon the current information that we have. How is that compared to last year? Last year we had to send out 24,000, so just an increase of 8,000. One of the lowest numbers in the state, being a small population, but increasing from 24 to 32 for that state aid calculation going out. Now, and again, while it's counted in the head count, that doesn't really help us because we're funded at 1,400 regardless on that. So we're losing, we're losing that 32,000. Other districts are losing their state aid share as well. So how many students are there in Pendleton County? Based on the numbers from Charleston, there are 4. There are 3 attending the Virtual Prep Academy, and there is 1 attending the West Virginia Virtual Academy, for a total of 4 students, listing Pendleton County as their home county, attending the charter schools, and that's the calculation for that. So in summary, still subject to legislation, the numbers appear solid. We still have the 1,400 floor. The amount of money, which is increasing about 150,000, is on target, even with changes for transportation and things like that. It appears very solid, and we hope it stays solid when the legislature adjourns in April, and we have a final, but this is just preliminary for planning as it stands right now, but no surprises, nothing like that to be concerned about. So at this moment, so that is information. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to see more data, let me know. We will talk further about the budget as we go forward through the budget season. It's not due until the end of May. We have to meet in April, of course, and lay the local levy and those sorts of things, but we will keep moving forward, and that's all I have tonight under that update.
Any questions for JP?
The charter schools, you talked about the 4 kids that are doing virtual. Do they consider virtual school a charter school?
If they attend, so not like if we offer a student a class through our own, online program, that's not. So they have to actually be registered and enrolled in this Virtual Prep Academy or this West Virginia Virtual Academy. So Charles, maybe you can answer that better.
Sure. I mean, there are several state charter schools that do virtual instruction, and we have our own virtual instruction here at Pendleton County High School from 6 through 12. So if you're enrolled with us, you're a student with us, you're just taking our classes virtually, you're still entitled to everything, all the extracurricular activities, graduation, the diploma comes from Pendleton County High School. The ones that are enrolled in the virtual academy are students who are enrolled in that format, and they could be elementary students because we only go down to the 6th grade. And for those students, if they would continue that path, then their diploma and would come from the virtual academy.
And so does the state control what goes out virtually, or do these schools set this stuff up?
The schools set the stuff up, and it's pretty much whatever they consider the curriculum to be, and when you graduate, your diploma would be from that virtual academy.
If we had a private school in the county, which with brick and mortar, you'd be like sending your student to a private school. These are more virtual charter private schools.
Any more questions? think that finishes us up with finance then, and that brings us down to facilities.
Okay, not a whole lot to report on really. I will follow up on what JP said earlier. We did purchase some snow removal equipment for ourselves, and we have been able to use that. And actually, back in December, a couple of times we were able to actually treat our parking lots and stuff without using our contracted person. So this past storm that came in, we did not get a contract for anybody to remove the snow at North Fork Elementary. So we'll continue to use our equipment to do that. However, we would like to find someone to contract out. So in the case of the North Mountain or something being shut down or us unable to get across the mountain, it'd be nice to have someone on that side of the mountain to help assist us with that. But Dan was able to do the snow removal at North Fork yesterday, and then also get the Brandywine as well yesterday to save us a little bit of money they were there as well. So we're continuing to try to use Potomac Hardware and let them get familiar with the snow removal. And they were working out there today to try to get our lots in the best condition we possibly can. We'll do some treatment on those lots tomorrow, and hopefully we'll get some more of the ice and stuff to remove off of there. Other than that, I'm still working on trying to get a date set for some sort of a presentation of the Aldad building. I had one date in January, and that we had a conflict with that. So maybe as the weather maybe gets a little better, we'll find another date to try to do that. Other than that, I don't really have anything else that I can think of right offhand.
Travis, in our facilities update, we do have a PDF of the HOTS property. You want to touch on that just a little bit?
Can you talk just a tad bit louder?
I put a PDF of information from HOTS, Travis, on there, the plat and the information. So Charles just asked if you would update us on the HOTS.
Okay, yeah, so whenever the I guess it was the press box on the football field was constructed, part of that one corner actually went over onto HOTS property, and they were willing to donate that piece of property that the press box went on to us, to the school system. So what we had to do was we had to work with I think it was Griff Yokomis who did the survey, surveyed it off, and then we also used another person to do an appraisal. And we finally got all that paperwork done, and we presented that to the HOTS farming people up there this past week, and kind of got that taken care of.
Any questions for Travis? Okay, I think we're done under facilities then, Travis, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And we have nothing under old business. Under new business, we have the resolution to urge the state of West Virginia to stabilize the PEIA insurance.
You have my recommendation to approve the resolution urging the state of West Virginia to stabilize the Public Employees Insurance Agency.
We have our superintendent's recommendation to approve this, to make this resolution. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Wilma makes a motion, Sonny seconds it. Any discussion or any questions? And all in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes, and I have the resolution for everybody to sign. And that finishes us up under the new business. Then we get down to school improvement, student achievement.
Okay, so not a lot to report there either. We haven't been in school enough, but a couple of things. We did get our teachers back in on January the 2nd. We had several trainings planned throughout that day to work on student improvement, and hopefully we'll get our students back fairly soon so we can start putting some of that to work and continue to try to move our students along for success. The other thing would be we have textbook adoption this this year, and it is social studies and preschool curriculum. So February the 5th, we'll be taking a small group of staff to Morgantown for a caravan, and we'll be able to take a look at within the county to make our selections, and then I'll present those selections to the board a little bit later this spring.
Any questions under school improvement, student achievement? Okay, no questions there. Superintendent's update.
Just a couple quick things. We've used 2 summer saver days so far and 4 accrued time days. If the weather continues, we're getting close to where we'll have to start using some OS days to make that up, and those would initially come out of our spring break. Also, we have moved the Pelton County Middle High School LSIC Faculty Senate meeting that we missed due to the state volleyball tournament with them to February 4th. And that's it.
Any questions under superintendent's update? Conference and meeting update.
Okay, JD and I have a South Branch Career and Technical Center meeting on the 15th of January. And I think that's it until our next board meeting.
Any questions about anything? Our next meeting will be Tuesday, January the 21st here at 5:30, and I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Betty and Katie made the motion in a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes and we are adjourned.